Ethan, I've been hearing some troubling things, the principal begins, his voice calm but heavy with warning. Accusing a teacher of something so absurd. It's unacceptable. We don't tolerate false rumors at this school. Ethan opens his mouth to protest, to tell him that he isn't lying, but Principal Graves raises a hand, silencing him. I don't want to hear any more of this nonsense. Focus on your studies, or there will be consequences. Ethan's heart pounds. He can see it in the principal's cold, unwavering stare. This isn't just a warning, it's a threat. No one believes him. No one wants to believe him. And worst of all, a terrifying thought creeps into his mind. What if the principal already knows the truth? Days pass, and one by one students start disappearing. First it's Kevin, then Mia, then Jordan, each vanishing without a trace. Every morning their seats sit empty, their names never mentioned again. When Ethan asks around, no one seems concerned. They transferred, Miss Holloway says each time, her eerie smile never fading. But something feels off. No announcements, no goodbyes, just silence. When Ethan checks their social media, their profiles are inactive, as if they were never there. The school carries on as usual, teachers unconcerned, classmates forgetting too easily. He's the only one who notices. And then, one morning, Ethan walks into class and sees something that makes his blood run cold, an empty desk where Lena used to sit. Determined to find the truth, Ethan stays after school, waiting until the hallways are empty. Heart pounding, he sneaks back into the classroom, his eyes scanning the rows of deserted desks. He walks to Kevin's seat first, running his fingers along the wooden surface, then freezes. There, carved into the wood, are deep, jagged symbols, etched with something sharp. The markings are uneven, frantic, as if scratched in desperation. He checks Mia's desk, then Jordan's, and finds the same eerie symbols, some overlapping, some almost unreadable, but all pulsating with an unsettling energy. Then, trembling, he reaches Lena's desk. The symbols are there, but these ones are fresh, the edges still raw, as if she had been here just before she vanished. A sudden chill creeps up his spine. This isn't just some coincidence. This is a warning. As Ethan stands over Lena's scratched-up desk, lost in the horror of what he's uncovered, a gravelly voice startles him from behind. "You shouldn't be here, kid." Ethan spins around to see Mr. Grady, the school's janitor, an old man with tired eyes and a face lined with years of secrets. He leans on his mop, studying Ethan with a knowing look. "You're not the first kid to see the truth." Grady mutters, his voice low, almost regretful. He glances toward the door as if making sure no one is listening. "But you might be the last." Ethan's breath catches in his throat. The last? His mind races. "What do you mean? What's happening to them?" He whispers, but the janitor just shakes his head. "If you're smart, you'll stop asking questions. She doesn't like kids who ask too many questions." Ethan swallows hard. He should run. He should forget. But he knows. It's already too late for that. That night, Ethan and Lena wait until the school is silent, the last lights flickering off. Armed with nothing but their flashlights and pounding hearts, they slip through an unlocked side door, careful not to make a sound. The air inside is thick and stale, the kind of silence that feels unnatural, as if the building itself is holding its breath. They follow Miss Holloway's faint silhouette down the hallway, her movements eerily smooth, almost gliding. She doesn't turn on the lights. Instead, she heads toward a door at the end of the hall, the basement, a place students aren't even allowed to go. Ethan and Lena exchange a nervous glance as she unlocks the heavy door and disappears inside. A moment later, the door clicks shut, sealing her in. Lena swallows hard. "Are we really doing this?" she whispers. Ethan grips the handle, his hands clammy. "We have to." With a deep breath, he slowly pushes the door open, and together they step into the darkness below. As Ethan and Lena creep down the basement stairs, the air grows thick and humid, carrying a sickly sweet stench that makes their stomachs churn. Their flashlights flicker against the damp stone walls, revealing something writhing in the shadows. Then they see them. Cocoons. Dozens of them, hanging from the ceiling, lining the walls, their surfaces translucent and pulsing as if something inside is still alive. Ethan steps closer, his breath catching in his throat as his flashlight beam settles on one. Inside, Kevin's face is barely visible. His eyes shut, his body twisted and suspended in some kind of thick, veiny membrane. His chest rises and falls, he's still breathing. Lena stifles a scream, clutching Ethan's arm. Oh my God, it's them. Before Ethan can respond, a wet, slithering sound echoes behind them. Something is moving, and then a whisper, low, unnatural, and right behind them. You shouldn't have come here. Before Ethan and Lena can react, the shadows shift behind them. A chill runs down Ethan's spine as he turns, just in time to see Miss Holloway emerge from the darkness. But she's no longer pretending. Her face splits apart, her jaw unhinging far beyond human limits, revealing rows of needle-like teeth, glistening with thick, black saliva. Her once pale skin ripples, stretching as if something inside her is trying to break free. With an inhuman screech, she lunges, her clawed hands swiping through the air, missing Ethan by inches. He stumbles back, grabbing Lena's wrist as she lets out a choked gasp. "Run!" Ethan yells, but the basement is small, the cocoons blocking their way. And behind them, Miss Holloway is still coming, her limbs twisting, bending the wrong way, her unnatural hunger filling the air like a suffocating fog. Ethan's eyes dart frantically around the basement until he spots it. A rusted fire axe, half buried beneath dust and cobwebs. With no time to think, he lunges for it, gripping the heavy wooden handle just as Miss Holloway's clawed fingers graze his shoulder. With a desperate cry, he swings. The blade sinks deep into her side, splitting her grayish, unnatural flesh. A thick black substance oozes from the wound, sizzling as it hits the floor. For a moment, there's silence. Then, Miss Holloway does something far worse than scream. She laughs, a deep, gurgling, inhuman sound that makes Ethan's stomach turn. She grips the axe's handle, yanking it free with a sickening squelch, her wound already sealing itself. Her many black eyes glisten with amusement as she tilts her head. "That was cute, Ethan," she whispers, her voice echoing in the cavernous space. Then her jagged teeth glint in the dim light as she lunges again. Ethan and Lena stumble through the basement, dodging Miss Holloway's lunges, their breaths ragged with terror. Then Ethan spots it, an old shelf stacked with cleaning supplies. His mind races. Chemicals. Highly flammable. "Lena, help me," he shouts, knocking bottles to the ground. They shatter, spilling strong-smelling liquid across the floor, soaking the walls in the pulsing cocoons. Miss Holloway snarls, sensing their plan. "No," she shrieks, but it's too late. Lena flicks open her pocket lighter. For a moment, the tiny flame flickers between her trembling fingers. Then, with a final look at Ethan, she drops it. Whoosh! Fire erupts, racing up the walls, consuming the nest in an instant inferno. The cocoons burst, filling the air with high-pitched, inhuman screams. Miss Holloway thrashes, her skin blistering and melting, her shrieks melding with the chaos. Ethan and Lena don't wait to see if she burns. They run, smoke choking their lungs, barely making it out as the basement collapses behind them. The next morning, the school is eerily quiet. Miss Holloway is gone. No explanation, no mention of her at all, as if she never existed. Ethan and Lena exchange a wary glance, relief slowly settling in. But then, the classroom door creaks open. A new substitute teacher steps inside. She's tall, eerily still. Her piercing black eyes scan the room unblinking. And when she smiles, it feels all too familiar. The nightmare isn't over. Like, share, and subscribe to Veils of Night for more terrifying stories. And remember, stay safe.